Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Scratching Post. I'm your host, Arthur, and today we got a great episode for you. Today we have an alumni in the house, and they are going to talk a little bit about their experience playing with the Cougars, Cougar alumni. And we're going to just go on a journey. So without further ado, I am going to cut to my left. And in the house, we have... why don't I let you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela Kleisinger, and I played here with the Cougars women's basketball team for 5 years.
Okay, so I have a habit of calling you Mike.
That's totally fine.
Now... I can tell you the story where I got into the habit of calling you that, but like, why don't I ask you, where did that nickname come from?
I'm very interested to hear where you got that.
I could tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Where did you hear it from?
All right. So my role for many years is photographing all our Cougar athletes in all the games. So I'll go to all the basketball games, and I'll be on the sidelines photographing you and your teammates.
Yeah.
And on multiple occasions, I heard Dave Taylor, the head coach, just calling you Mike.
Screaming is what you mean.
He is screaming. Yeah. Okay, yeah. He'll look to the bench. Mike, you're in.
Yeah.
Mike,
okay.
come here.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. That I vibe with that.
Yeah.
So that's my story, and I started calling you Mike, and you started responding. So hopefully you're cool with that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was actually my grade 4 teacher that started that, because he was the first like male teacher that I had, and he had a habit of giving everyone like a male version of their name.
Oh.
So I was Mike, and then when I started playing basketball, it was like way easier than Michaela to say on the basketball court. So I just sort of said, my name's Michaela, but you can call me Mike. And it really, really caught on, especially in the basketball world. And it was weird because we'll talk about it in a bit, but when I moved away, nobody called me that. And then I came back and I was home. Everybody called me Mike again. So absolutely. That's what I'm used to.
All right. Well, there you go. We've got Mike in the house. So tell us a little bit about your career as a player. How about you give us the Speed Notes version of your career?
Okay. I started playing here in 2015 and was very, very fortunate to be on some extremely successful teams here with the Cougars. Went to nationals my first 4 years. In my third year, we hosted nationals, which was incredible. We got a bronze medal and won Canada West that year. So definitely a highlight playing wise in my career, and finished playing here in 2020. And honestly, it was a dream playing at home and playing here for 5 years. So yeah, it's kind of a bit about it.
What was it about the team at the time that you guys were finding that so much success?
I think, it was evident when I came in that the women above me really took basketball very seriously, and it was because that's primarily why people come to our program. Like, we've talked about it now that I'm a coach and why people go to the different places they do. And if we're being honest with ourselves, most people don't come to Regina for the scenery. And
oh yeah,
most people, as a university, we don't offer some programs that others do. So that was stressed a lot when I got here, that if you're here for basketball's going to be a top priority. And that was evident, and people took it very seriously and honestly just really wanted to win. Like, it wasn't, I remember we talked about it a lot in my second and third year, but our practices were the most competitive part of the week. So, those were the years where we had Canada West All-Stars and athletic, like all Canadians, and people where you were playing the best players in the country, like in your practices. So they were the hardest part of our week, and we would get to the games, and that was the fun, right? So I think it was just, everybody took it so seriously, and we wanted to win, and there was a huge drive to win, and we had some success with it. So, yeah.
I'm curious, what made you want to come to University of Regina, or did you want to come to University of Regina?
Yes. I had been coming to basketball camp at the U of R for probably since I was 7 or 8 years old. And my parents and I had courtside seats since I was maybe 10. So I had been like watching Cougar basketball, invested in Cougar basketball for as long as I could remember. So I had a few other, like, I don't even want to call them offers. Like, I talked to a few other coaches, but honestly, Dave came to my living room in August before my grade 12 year and said, like, this is kind of what I've got to offer you. And it technically took me a month to say that I would come, but I was pretty certain that if it was going to work for my family, that was going to work for me. And I wanted to come because I love the community, if I'm being honest. Like, I love playing in front of Regina. I love playing in front of my family and my friends, and I'm already a part of the basketball community, like I was when I joined. So why not stay and give back to it and try to contribute in the way that I could? So, yeah.
I wanted to go into this later, but maybe let's just go into it now. What is it about basketball in Regina that gets you excited? You talk about the basketball community here. What's special about it?
People show up for it. Like, people want to watch basketball in Regina. And I didn't really know that before I played here. I knew that I loved basketball in Regina, but once I started playing here and going to other places, it was evident, like, it's not even close, that we have the most fans in anywhere that we go to. I mean, of course, the U of S can pack the stands when we come into town, but like, anywhere that you go, we have by far the most fans. And those are just literally people and their children, like, coming to watch us play. And I think a lot of that has to do with the size of the community, for sure. Like, in the bigger centers like Calgary and Edmonton, they have other teams and sports to watch. And same like Toronto, of course, they have other basketball they can watch. But the community in Regina shows out for sure. So it's just something exciting to be a part of, which kept me.
I want to ask you something, though, because we were just talking about the community and how supportive they are towards not just basketball, but other university sports. But if you kind of look at our basketball roster and look at the U of S women's basketball roster over the years, historically they have fielded a large majority of the roster with local talent. And by local, I mean with players from Saskatchewan. Why is that? What's your theory?
Yeah, it's funny because right now we've got, I guess, 5 of them on our 13-player roster that aren't from here. And that would be probably the most I could remember in a long time. Like, when I played, it was pretty much everybody, 1 or 2 from at least Saskatchewan, like local. And then I do think there's something to be said about just like staying close to home in a place like this. I think that because it is as small as it is, some people are, really wanting to get out and leave. And I've heard that a lot. But I also think that when you get to the point where you want to make a decision about, playing for the U of R or playing for the U of S, even, that people in Saskatchewan and the basketball community especially have put the time into you, right? Like, when I committed here, I knew that Dave had watched me, and I knew that I was going to know people, and I knew that I was going to know my teammates. I already did know them. They had coached me at camps and gone to school with me. And so I think there is something to be said about just, like, wanting to stay close to that. And I think that the level of basketball is good because people want to be committed to it.
Would you say there's a correlation between the success of the Regina Cougars women's basketball team and the U of S Huskies women's basketball team, between the number of local talent they have on their rosters and the success they've had in the past? Because these 2 teams have been very successful. Like, if you look at the amount of trips the Cougars have made to nationals on the women's side for basketball, and how many times the Huskies have gone to nationals for women's basketball, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a correlation between the local talent, the number of local talent they have on their rosters, and how successful they've been?
Yeah, I think that the way that we compete in that by having smaller centers is that people stay for their entire career because they're from Saskatchewan. So people that, let's say, go to schools in BC, for example, because it's shiny for sure. BC's nice, right? And they come from other provinces. They've already done the leaving home thing, right? So if they are unhappy or they don't want to stay or they don't like it, they'll do it again. They'll move, they'll leave. So I think that those schools can bring talent intermittently, right? They can pull people and convince them to come. But I think people in Saskatchewan stay for their entire career. And so then they're very, very good by their 5th year because they've been, like, for example, us right now, the girls that are in their 4th year have all been now here for 5 years. And there's like 6 of them that have played together for that long. So I think that's where we get the advantage, is that people stay.
And that just builds better team chemistry, right?
Yeah, like better chemistry. They get better because for example, me in this coaching role now, like I'm in charge of their individual like development, I guess. And so I can see them from day 1 through to like 5th year day 365, right? So you can actually see the development and invest in the development of these players because they're going to stay, and then they get better, your team gets better. It's a good equation, I guess, for success.
So then that just naturally has us fighting against the Huskies many times in the postseason.
Yeah.
What are some of your experiences? What are some of the highlights that you've had in your career when playing the Huskies? Is there one game against the Huskies that really stands out?
Absolutely. We beat them in the Canwest final in my 3rd year here at home. And it was the only time, like, we played them 4 years in a row in the Canwest final. The other teams were probably sick of us by then. And the other 3 times were at the U of S. The other 3 times we lost. So we beat them by 20, which is basically a blowout when you're playing the U of S because every game's a dogfight, literally. And so yeah, that's the number one. You asked me what sticks out, 100%. I would play that game over and over and over again. Yeah.
Well, let's cut to let's cut to some action photos.
Great.
Of your time as an athlete.
Oh my gosh, I'm so young in that picture, Arthur.
There you are on the bench. Why don't you just narrate what we're looking at here?
Oh my God, that's funny. Okay, this is my 4th year, I think. I think it's Christina's. That's Christina there. That's her. That picture, I hate you for that picture, and I know you love it. And we have to be playing the Huskies.
I love it. I love it. That's one of my favorite pictures of Mike. It's just the intensity you bring to the basketball court. That's why I love photographing you over these years. Like, you just you just let it out there. You just let all the emotion, all the passion. I can see how passionate you are about basketball. So
yeah, there we are. That's
this?
Our bronze medal at nationals. So we won that here. We actually, that was the year oh my God, look how fast you made me look in this, Arthur.
Speedy.
Yeah, we won that bronze medal. We actually lost to the U of S in the semifinal after we had just beat them the week before in the Canwest final. So that was crazy, but we did get a bronze medal, which was sweet.
Yeah, I got another picture that we can hopefully see here. That was one of my favorites from that. Just some action photos. You could see the intensity that you play with here. I bet you'll love this one. I threw it in there.
That's so funny. I also love my shoes in this one because we're wearing... This is clearly our shoot for the cure game. So, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
This is me in my 2nd year. I look like an absolute baby in that picture, Arthur.
Baby Mike.
That's so funny.
So you talked about your shoes just now, which I think will be a perfect segue to talk about your shoes now as a coach. And not just your shoes, your entire outfit as a coach. I think you wear a lot of statement pieces when you're coaching. Let's take a look at your game day outfits.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna throw them up on the screen here. So
that's a good one. I like that one.
Let's just describe for the audience, what we're seeing, because some people might just be listening to the podcast here. So we'll just wait for the next one to pop up here. All right. So describe what you're wearing here.
Okay, in this one, I'm wearing a pink suit. and a white bodysuit. That's, yeah, same deal. Pink suit, white bodysuit, white boots. That one I ordered that one special for our Shoot for the Cure game. Yeah. So we have a breast cancer support game every year. And so I wear the same, like I've now worn it 3 years in a row because each team does it in the league. So yeah, that's a statement piece for sure. It's a once a year, pull that out for our breast cancer support game.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. So I call this the Star Wars outfit. That's what I remember it most as. When you describe what you're wearing here.
Okay, I'm wearing a jumpsuit and it's white and black on the top and then just black on the bottom, and I'm wearing silver high-heeled boots with it, which is actually a pretty sweet look.
Yeah, it gave me like, Star Wars vibes.
It does give like
Jedi.
Space. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jedi. I like that.
Jedi Mike.
I look very serious in that photo. Oh, I
what
look
about
very
this one?
serious in that photo too. We must be in the preseason in this one because I'm not wearing anything special. That's just like a white bodysuit and some pants.
Okay.
Very serious.
So let me just ask you then, what goes into the decisions on what you wear and when you wear it? What inspired you to really, take the outfits to the next level? I know that was a loaded question, but I'll just let you run with it.
I have a lot of answers to that, if that's okay. But for context, for the people watching, this is actually what Arthur and I had this conversation a few months ago, and this is what got me here on this podcast.
Well, yeah, I was very taken back by like, wow, you put a lot of thought into what you're in. Like, it blew my mind. So I just want you to just get a taste
the
of
viewer,
what Mike goes through to put this all together.
Okay, so you asked me why it started. It started because I did my master's in coaching at the University of Alberta for 2.5 years. And so for that time, the coaches on that bench did dress up. I was coaching with 2 men and another woman, and they wore suits. Like she was wearing, whatever, suits or jumpsuits or dresses or whatever. So that's why I started doing it. And I actually really liked the idea because when I asked them the premise behind it, it was like, well, I show up to work every day, for example, when I coach, and I have to be ready to hop in a drill or grab a rebound or whatever. So I can't show up in that kind of stuff every day. So if we're asking the athletes to take it seriously, then we're going to take it seriously too, and we're going to dress up for it, which I really liked the premise of. And then when I came here, Dave is our head coach and Wayne is our assistant coach, and they wear polos. And I absolutely refuse to wear a polo because if you can tell me any woman that looks good in a polo, like, honestly, send her my way and tell me how she did it, because that's not a thing. Okay. So, and also like, I wasn't really sure I needed to be matching with Dave and Wayne. So
no, you don't want to, you don't want
so but Dave, honestly, funny guy. And he does not care in the slightest what I'm wearing. He knows to stay in his lane. He knows that is not the place to make a comment on what his female assistant is going to wear for these games. Yeah. So at this point, I now had like a lot of clothes, honestly, for games. And the U of A has the same colors as us, green and gold. So I had a lot of stuff that could continue. So yeah, when you ask me like how I decide, well, first of all, the number one rule is I never wear the color of the team we're playing. So if we're playing like Lethbridge, for example, is our first games and they're blue and white, like I won't take any blue with me for sure. Because I do have every color of option. That's a hard and fast rule because I'm cheering for the Cougars, obviously. My second kind of thought is like home or away, like you said. So I try to take as few pieces on the road as possible. So the road's a really good place for like a jumpsuit. The road's a good place to take the same, or like an outfit, 2 outfits where I can wear the same pair of shoes. So I only have to take 1 pair of shoes. Because typically I wear like some kind of boot or high heel. Sometimes I like runners a lot. So sometimes like a cool runner, but sneakers, I guess. But they take up a lot of space in my suitcase. Like the heels
and space is limited, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially when we fly. Like that's a big one I'm supposed to carry on. So space is limited. And especially like if I'm wearing a suit, it would have to be hung or taken in a garment bag, but the jumpsuits can go folded in my suitcase. And then hot tip, if something's wrinkled, you can just put it in the bathroom when you shower and it'll steam it out. So
there you go.
Hot tips.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
So,
I'm learning.
I'll
learning.
take, like as few pieces as possible on the road with me.
You don't take the heels and the boots on the road because they take too much space, right?
Typically, yeah. I'll try to take if I'm going on the road, usually I'll take a pair of runners that I can wear on my feet and also in the game. And then I'll take a pair of boots. But because I never change at home. Like if we're playing at home, I change here at the gym because the girls need me to rebound or whatever when I get here. So I also have to be able to pack it and bring it here. But that's obviously a lot easier coming from home. And then I remembered this one. I told you this one too. I try not to wear, if the athletes are wearing green, I don't want to wear a different color of green. So I'll wear something I'll wear white and black, or I'll wear yellow on that day. And then when they're wearing white, I'll wear green, because I always look fine in whatever shade of green I'm wearing when they're wearing white.
Gotcha, because you don't want to be wearing a shade of green that's different to the green that the other players are on the bench with, because you're sitting on the bench as well.
Yeah, because I have to sit. We can't Dave and I can't stand at the same time, and he stands. So I'm always sitting beside the girls. And I know that you're going to be taking our picture, and I don't want to look stupid beside the girls. So I don't want to wear a different shade of green.
Well, it's a nice day when the coaches know that the cameras are going to be around and they just lean into it. So I appreciate you having myself and our student photographers take your pictures over the years. We've had a lot of memorable pictures, memorable moments. What's your role as a coach? I know Dave's the head coach. You're the assistant coach. What's your? I think you mentioned earlier that you do a lot of individual work with the athletes. Could you tell us what you bring to the team as a coach?
Oh God, that was such a loaded question, Arthur. What do I bring to the team? Well, I mean, technically, what do? I do the individual development. I do all of our scout and video for the upcoming teams. I have mostly performance plans and player development plans and those kinds of things. Lots of just, Dave always calls it other duties as assigned. So lots of, just admin tasks for the team. And then I do all of our junior programming. So our camps and our junior team, our club team and stuff like that. That's all me, but that's mostly in the summer when our season is taking a break. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, so now that you're in this role, how has it added value to the team? What's your, what I'm getting at is I guess let me just ask you the question straight up. When it comes to coaching and coaching philosophy, what sort of coach do you view yourself as, and how does that benefit the team today?
Okay, I like that question, actually, Art. It's interesting because the original, I guess, things that I think I brought here were literally just being a young female. That's why the athletes for a year before I came here, it was them and Dave and Wayne. And Dave and Wayne are both fantastic basketball coaches, but they're not under 30 and they're not female. And so I'm very fortunate because I have really good relationships with our athletes, and they put a lot of trust and faith in me. And so I do know that I bring a safe space in that case. In terms of what kind of coach I want to be sort of long term in my coaching philosophy, I think that, especially if I'm going to be coaching at the university level, which would be the ultimate goal, I think that I know that if you're going to spend 5 years with these people, they're both players, but they're people first. And I really put a lot of pride and also enjoyment in getting to know our athletes and spending time with them and having fun with them. The team we have right now is a lot of fun. And I think that shows up on the court. I think if you ask me what my number one, the athletes that make fun of me, but my number one thing for our teams and the teams that I coach is always connection, with one another and the athletes to me. And just, sort of, I don't want to say teaching them lessons because I'm not a wise person in any respect. I'm still like young myself and still learning as often as possible. But
there's value in, like you said, being, on the 30 and being young. Like the average age of the players on a team are 20, 21.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's value in being sort of in the same sort of age group where you can relate to things. And I'm sure that also helps on the communication side of thing, not necessarily teaching, but you're a coach, you're there to teach, but also just to relay information, because one of the things about teams and team environments is communication. It plays a big role in the functioning of any group of, 2 or more people. So just as someone on the outside, a fan, I could tell that, you have a very strong connection with a group of girls. And I'm sure that, your age, being close to them, really helps foster and facilitate just sort of that communication. You being on a team and you being who you are and where you are in life it's a good teaching element is what I would say to that.
Thanks, Art. That's kind. I think, it's the athletes teach me a lot too, right? Like every day, honestly, every day. And some days it's not, some days they just teach me a new word that they've come up with that's something stupid and now it's going to be in my vocabulary. But, I honestly learn how to be both a better coach and a better just leader, I think, every day from them. So it's not a one-way street, that's for sure. Yeah.
Have you connected the dots, or is it still a work in progress in terms of what you learned doing your master's to now actually being, an active coach? And I ask because I know in the classroom you learn things on paper, and then there's usually a period of time when you actually go out in the field and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I learned this, or I see this in practice now. And then there's a time people sort of need to sort of put the pieces together and put the concepts together before they're up and up to speed. Like where are you at right now? Like in that process of finishing your master's in coaching, and now you've been coaching for how many years?
This is the start of my third year here.
You're in your third year. Yeah. So what have you sort of seen the concepts of, from your master's? Have you connected to start putting the pieces together yet?
Yeah, I really like that question, Art, actually, because I think that, well, a couple things. Number one, especially as an assistant coach, like I have to be a constant learner because I don't make the decisions. So I still, seek out as many opportunities, even now that I'm not in my master's, to do coaching development, because part of being an assistant is that I don't get to put all the pieces together yet, right? Like I only, at the end of the day, and this is exactly how it should be, at the end of the day, Dave's in charge, right? So a lot of that is sort of just about, keeping, I keep a lot of notebooks. I've got a lot of notebooks on the go and a lot of ideas and a lot of drills and all those kinds of things, because I don't always get to put the pieces exactly into the puzzle as I would like them to. But I definitely see myself integrating that kind of thing. Like my thesis was on basically the effects of stress on female basketball players. And that is definitely where I try to contribute here, right? Like I know that between Dave and I, especially in that case, I would be the expert on the stress of being a student athlete, specifically here at the University of Regina, and even more specifically playing for Dave Taylor. So that's kind of where I tried to implement the most of my learning, would be down the mental health route, and sort of down the specifics of being a female basketball player and where that kind of aligns. So, yeah.
Is there an art to juggling the pieces? You're not putting them together, but I've been on a road trip with you and the team, and I've seen Dave just fire off some ideas to you, and you pull that notebook out and you're taking notes, you're writing them down. Is there an art to managing those pieces?
Yes, I would say most of the art is me taking deep breaths when I don't get to put the pieces where I would want to put them. Because you're right. Like Dave is throwing the things and he's throwing the ideas, and I'm just there to take it all in. Right. And, you know, my dad has always said, you know, you can learn from both things that you want to do and things that you don't want to do, and things that you like and things that you don't like. And that's not to say that's the case all the time, but that's why I'm always writing it down, because whether I liked it or I didn't like it, I need to remember it. So that's the art for me, is I have to write it down, because there's too many balls in the air, and thankfully lots of them are plastic, so they won't break when I drop them. But I'll definitely forget if I don't write it all down. So I guess that's my art. But
Good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, you put the pieces there, and you know, you have them ready for when Dave needs them, or if he forgets them, you've got them there and say, hey, you know, we talked about this.
yeah, that's a good point, Art, because he did say to me the other day, you know, if this happens, remind me of this, and those kinds of things. Or if, you know, all of a sudden I do get a chance to implement a new drill or a new thought, I'll have it ready. So that's kind of the plan, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on time here. How about we close with this? Why don't you just sort of paint a picture for us of the team right now, how they're doing, and what expectations you have for the team this season?
What expectations do I have? Okay, how's the team right now? We are good. We just finished our preseason, and it was lengthy, which was the plan. Dave worked to put a lot of games in place, as you know, Art, so that we were challenged in who we were playing, where we were playing, when we were playing, all of those kinds of things. So I would say definitely like game ready heading into the season, which is great. My expectation for the team would probably be consistency. Like that would be the thing that I would love us to find some of. It can be a very up and down. Well, it's always up and down during the season, but I think our group has seen that because they've been together now for quite some time with a few moving pieces. So I would love to see some consistency, and I think if we could find it, we would be forced to be reckoned with for sure.
No, you're talking about consistency in like performance, execution, or wins, or like what where are you looking for the consistency?
Yeah, I mean, based on the words you gave there, I would say performance is the best one, just because even this past weekend, you know, we played out in Victoria and we lost our second game, but I felt pretty good about how we played, right? So I think that if you are, you know, it's not necessarily about like the wins and losses at the end of the day. Everybody's got a battle to go to nationals, but I think that if you can be playing well and be happy with it, the things will work out and you can focus on other things, right? If our performance is dipping as a group, then that's all we focus on. So I'd like us to just, be performing consistently at our best, honestly, because the best of this team is very good. So
there you had it. Coach Mike going into her fourth year?
Third year with these guys, yeah.
I'm giving you a year, but third year with the Cougars. Thank you so much for coming on the show, dropping a lot of great stories, and thanks for going through the outfit designs with me.
Look at we matched today. For those of you that can't see
check
us,
it out.
We didn't even plan it, and we put the same outfit on. So
well, let me.
Arthur's clearly trying to be me.
Twins.
Yeah, look at us. They really hooked us up with these jackets, Art.
If you want these jackets, you will be able to order these jackets soon.
This is a sales pitch.
Yeah. I mean, people will be watching this in the future, and hopefully by then I'll be able to put a link somewhere, you know,
if
in
you
the
want to
screen,
look
the
as cool as
description.
Art, order the jacket.
Cool as Art and Mike over here. I mean, look, you got sporting the kicks.
You already know.
What are those?
These are Air Jordans.
Air Jordans. Green. Is that? What was that?
I think it's green. I liked how it went with my jacket. And I told you, the kicks make the fit. You're always wearing your Blundstones.
Do you want to share how many pairs of shoes you have? Or we could skip that.
I'll just go with over 200.
Yeah.
I do know the exact number, but just for my dad's mind, my mom would be proud, but just for my dad's wallet and mindset, I'll just tell you that it was over 200.
do you want to give a shout out to your mom and dad? I know I got a great picture of your dad.
Oh my God, funny. Sure. I will give a shout out to my mom because she's the one that helps with the outfits. So thanks, Mom. And I'll give a shout out to my dad because he's probably my biggest fan. So thanks, Dad.
Just if you don't know, like Michaela's parents have always been to the Cougar games, sitting courtside, and even after you left, they're still at the games, sitting courtside. And this is how I found out you were doing your master's.
Okay.
On the sidelines, one game, taking photos, and I'm just crouched down, and to my left was your dad. He's sitting the courtside, and he's got a iPad on his lap. So I get up and I look at the iPad, and he's streaming some other basketball game. And I was like, oh, what's that?
I can't believe he brought his iPad.
And he's like, oh, yeah, Mike, she's coaching with U of A. I was like, what? She's coaching U of A. It's like, oh, she's doing her master's over there, and they're playing a game. So I'm watching. It's like, oh, cool.
What a guy. See, supporting Cougars and me all at the same time.
He's a super fan.
Now it's two birds with one stone. He can just come to our games.
He's a super fan. Anyways, we are out of time. Thank you so much for stopping by and chatting with me. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
Thank you for twinning. This was not planned.
Not even planned.
But you know, when you're just a Cougar fan, you rep the Cougars all day, every day.
That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys tuning in and staying here. If you're watching this right now, you watched all the way. Appreciate it. Love you very much. Until next time, take care of yourself and be kind. I am Arthur Ward, and this was a Scratching Post. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.